Welcome back to the telethon. We have my friend Noelle on with us right now. Hi, Noelle.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
So I haven't talked to you a lot. I mean, we know each other. We're on Facebook and stuff, but I'm really excited to hear your story. I'm excited to hear part of your journey. And there's, because we only have 20 minutes, so that's not a lot of time. There's a lot of years that we could go over. But I wanted to just kind of touch bases with you and see maybe what it was like growing up with CDH. What was that like when you started to get older and you had the scars, and how did you handle that around other kids? What was that like?
For me, it was really tough growing up. I was a very self-conscious girl, and including with like a lot of my learning disabilities, um, just trying to deal with that as well of, you know, trying to wanting to be normal
Right.
was my biggest thing. And including having, all the girls wearing these, bikinis where I wanted to wear one piece because I was so afraid and self-conscious about wearing a bikini because then my scar would show. And then
Right.
of course everybody's asking questions, and then I was, even though my mother and my dad told me about it and things like that, it was still very, like, what did you just say? I it was still unknown to me because of my learning disability got in the way of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was, where I'd say when I started dancing is what built that confidence up. Because I mean, you're wearing all kinds of, you know, clothing, and, dancing was what brought me out. And
Really?
my parents always kept telling me, you could do whatever you want. They never held me back on any kind of sports or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I I danced and I loved it.
Hmm.
And that's what gave me the confidence. And after a while, yeah, I mean, at first everybody's asking me like, you know, what's the scar, but after a while, I actually started saying, well, this is what it is. And the more I talked about it, actually, it more became familiar to me personally. Like,
Really?
I would talk about it, and it's like it was still like this foreign language, even though I knew it, and it was about me, but it still sounded foreign. But the more I talked about it and realized, like, wow, um, I survived, and like I'm actually starting to really understand what I'm actually saying
Right.
instead of it just being words coming out of my mouth.
Like a
It was
you
really true to me.
Right, kind of a script you would tell, almost like you're telling a story about someone else, probably.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yes. I almost felt like I was telling somebody else's story until after a while, and I was actually telling my own story
Hmm.
instead of just, words on a piece of paper or the exact words that my parents told me. It just became my words.
Huh. That's interesting. That's interesting. So, there's a fun thing that a fun part in your life, and I think you know what I want to talk about. When I have newly diagnosed parents that especially if they have daughters, they say, "Will they be able to have children?" And my favorite thing to say is, well, obviously each child is different, but
Yes.
mom here in Utah that just had twins, and that's you. So
Yes.
I want to hear about this because I think this is fantastic.
Yes. So I had two others first. I had my 9-year-old, and then I had my 5-year-old. And I was high risk, and especially after the past of, what I've been through, and me not being able to gain weight. That was my biggest issue. And then when I
Really?
found out I had twins, I was like, uh, okay, this tiny body,
Right.
it's gonna be a challenge.
Right.
um, yeah, and they were like watching me like a hawk,
Mhm.
and constantly telling me. I mean, they were even telling me eat fries, eat burgers, like
Anything.
just
High
stuff your
calories.
face.
Right.
I only gained about, I think it was 23 pounds with the twins.
Oh. Oh wow.
And yeah, like, and that can actually kind of be scary though too,
Right.
because so like with my son, my firstborn, I stopped gaining weight because he's the one who actually stopped gaining the weight.
Hmm.
Um, and so they were really concerned about that as well, as where like, okay, mom's not gaining weight, like, what's going on with could the baby also not be gaining the weight as well, if that makes sense. I sorry, but it it can be scary when for some CDHers deal with weight issues.
Right.
Um, I've actually seen a lot who are saying, "Hey, what's going on? Like my child's not gaining weight.
Very
They're
common.
not on the growth chart."
Right. It's
You
very,
know,
yeah.
I have pretty much never been on the growth chart.
Really.
Um, yeah, it's been a struggle. No, no, sorry.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
what did I tell you? You need to go somewhere else right now, okay? Okay. But it was a challenge, but with the twins, actually, they did really well. We actually went 38 weeks, which is, they said it was really good for
Wow.
twins and for the weight issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and they were 4 pounds, 10 ounces, and 4 pounds, 11.
Oh my word.
So, yeah. I
Wow.
have tiny babies though. My son was 412 and my daughter was 6.
So now,
No, not right
did
now.
you
Go.
have C-sections or were you able to deliver any of them vaginally? How did that work out?
All vaginally.
Really? Even the
So,
wow.
yes, even the twins. And they said that's really great. Yeah,
Wow.
even the twins. Um, and it was where I think it was the last week I even told them, like, as much as possible, I want to do this vaginally. I want this for, the experience and the fact that I can do it. I know I could do it.
Wow. Wow.
So
Incredible.
they said, well, obviously we have to see how the labor goes and
Right.
everything, but I did it. And, it was where, I don't remember, at one point somebody said, I don't know how this girl did it, being as skinny as she was, as hardship as she had it, she did it.
Wow.
And all I gotta say is, to any CDHers, survivors, any women out there, like, it's possible, even with multiples. Okay, it's, you obviously you want to be a little bit more watched at times,
Hmm.
but it's all on the, the body,
Hmm.
on what you've dealt with, personally as well.
Wow.
I'm talking. No. Yes, I know. Go talk to grandma. No, I really want to throw it over me on the trampoline. Go. Yes.
Oh, so
Oh,
how as an adult, do you have you had a hard time finding a doctor that knows about CDH? Do you what happens if you have a problem that you need surgery? Like, have you run into those types of complications finding medical care?
so I, regarding of like during pregnancy, no, that wasn't really a big concern on my part, at least, because I've been done and dealt with. Like I've been, you know, good since I was 2 years old. They said that they don't foresee any kind of problems in the future of any kind of, you know, any kind of repairs, any, you know, uh, sicknesses, things like that. They said I should be good at that point. I did deal with acid reflux to the point where actually I got Barrett's esophagus,
Hmm.
which is precancerous in the esophagus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that was due to because like at some point I just said, you know what, I should be okay on my acid reflux medicine. Bad idea. Because all of a sudden, like I'm just my throat's always hurting, and then I was constantly throwing up,
Wow.
including with during the pregnancy. That was the biggest issue,
Oh, I bet.
and so they said, yeah, this is what's going on. You got Barrett's esophagus, so they
Man.
said you need to go back on your acid reflux medicine. And I think it was a year later, I had the scope done again, and they said you're good.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So you're not on
And that
med.
was after my first pregnancy.
That was with your first pregnancy. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
So do you
yeah,
have,
during the first pregnancy was scary.
well, do you have a general practitioner that you see?
We go see a family. Um, we go to a family clinic with
Mm-hmm.
my kids, and yet have really found anybody that is truly like familiar with it.
Uh-huh.
She says she's heard of it, but isn't like, really, knows everything about it. Um, I don't think any of the doctors I've seen growing up has really understood it. We've stated it growing up, but they're
Right.
like, oh, okay, and then goes through it, and that's it.
Interesting.
So
Well, there is a Cherubs did a study, and one of the biggest concerns that older survivors have is transitioning into adult medical care. That you
yeah,
meaning, your pediatrician when you're a child, and you kind of time out of a pediatrician, so then who do you go to? So that's a big concern. So encouraging to me and to
yeah,
others to hear that you were able to transition okay and things have been okay, and that's really encouraging.
yeah. I wish that there were more practitioners that would understand um, better for the adults.
Familiar with it, right?
Yeah. And not just, oh, I've heard of it, but, not truly understand it.
Right.
Because even for those adults are still concerned. I mean, it does cause problems in the future for some.
Right.
Like as for me, it was the acid reflux. He even said it was probably due to the repairs that were done. And because of that, I've dealt with my acid reflux for all my life.
Right.
But obviously, like I said, I just didn't. I thought I would have been okay. But
Mm-hmm.
I think if I had somebody familiar with it as an adult, they probably would have said, no, don't get off your acid reflux. So,
Heads.
yeah.
So tell me, as you grew, did your scar bother you? Did it hurt? Did it itch? Were there times that it got bad that you were concerned about it? How was that as you grew, and also with pregnancy? How was the scar? Was that a problem for you?
So actually, yeah. So as I grew up, yeah, my scar actually itched a lot.
Itched.
And then yeah. Um, and then it was during the pregnancy that, yeah, it came back. I mean, after a while, went away. And then during the pregnancies, it itched.
Wow.
But it could have been, just the stretch of the belly, but it was more the scar area that it itched.
Than anywhere else.
So yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay, interesting. That's interesting. That's good to hear because sometimes we have these little kids that we're worried about their scar and we don't know, you know, like
Yeah, yeah, understandable. Actually, like, and the frightening thing was like, it was a deep itch, where it's like, when to the point where actually I didn't even notice it, but I was scratching so much it was getting red,
wow.
and so I can understand where it can get concerning, because especially for those kids, they don't understand, of like, they need to not itch so much or continue to scratch it.
Right.
Try different methods. I would end up having to just keep rubbing it instead of scratching, because I would cause damage to my stomach.
So when you would scratch it, would that satisfy the itch? I mean, it sounds like it wouldn't even,
No,
it wouldn't.
no.
It's like you couldn't get to it.
Yeah, exactly. It was like inside.
Huh. So do you remember that as you were a small child, or was that something that was more like in adolescence?
Uh, More, I would say, small child. I think about fifth grade to seventh grade, when it was really bad. Um, so yeah, like and it was at the lower of the scar, lower end of my abdomen, and
Okay.
yeah, it was just like I could not get to it, and it was irritating me all the time.
Wow.
It frustrated me.
Wow.
And actually, my mom had to bring it up to the doctor, and I think at that time they didn't even know what to really think of it either, because like you said, I mean, after a certain point, either you've already moved, away from that doctor, or that doctor has already been gone, or but we already had left that doctor to,
Right.
so the new doctor that we were with had no idea what to think of it,
Hmm.
you know
Wow.
so I wish we would have had known, to see if, like, it was just in our mind, or if there was damage underneath, or if it was just because it was growing, or with your body. I don't know, you
Wow.
know
Wow. Well, it's fascinating to hear you describe that because I'm sure as a, fifth grader to seventh grader, you probably didn't have the vocabulary to really describe it how you're able to describe it now. So I'm thinking of,
Yeah,
parents that have a 10-year-old to a 12-year-old and, maybe they're dealing with this. So that's really encouraging. And I like how you're able to explain that so that we can understand better because as much as I want to understand my son and what his body is going through, it's not my body, so I have to rely
yeah,
on him telling me what it is, and sometimes he just doesn't have the words for it. So your words are very you're very descriptive, and I appreciate you being able to verbalize that. So I'm looking at the
well,
time.
I'm glad, kids.
We're
Yeah,
running short on time now, so I just want to tell
yep,
you that I appreciate you being my friend, and I you know how I love our Utah families. They're my favorite. I
yes,
shouldn't play
yep.
favorite. We just have a really great state, and our group's really tight, and I really appreciate you. I appreciate you doing this interview with us and introducing us to
Well, of course.
some things to that we can think about and learn from. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do this for the telethon
Of
today. So
course.
anyhow, I'm going to let you go and have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Have a great night. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.